I was actually working as a temp agent for a recycling plant. I didn't have a high school diploma, I didn't have a college degree. I dropped out of high school my first year, and I was making minimum wage. And I had one child at the time, Luis, another child on the way, Jeremiah, and things were rough. And I actually worked third shift, so I worked 7 p.m. to 3 a.m. And when I was getting up going to work, my family was going to sleep, and when I was coming home, they were getting up to start their day, so I really didn't get to see them at all. I was born in San Clemente in Orange County, California. My father was a contractor. He was doing well when we were young. There was a recession. We moved to Chicago, which is where he was from. He was the only one that worked in our family. So we moved to Indiana, which is like an hour and a half, 2 hours outside of Chicago. And that's where I grew up, right? Nothing really fancy. Once I got a little bit older, they got divorced and separated. So I was with my mom. That's when the struggle really, happened. We lived in and out of shelters. We've been homeless multiple times. My mom was struggling, doing whatever she could. She was a stay-at-home mom, just really hardworking. Everything's clean, dinner's cooked type of person. So she didn't have a skill set to fall back on, so she was working minimum wage jobs. I could not focus in school. I never thought that I was dumb or I had a problem, but I remember I would go to the counselor, I was doing horrible grades in middle school and high school, like D's and F's and C's. I couldn't accomplish my work, I couldn't stay focused. And they would tell my mom he's bipolar, he's got mad depression, it's because of the home situation, and you need to get him tested for ADD and ADHD and all this stuff. And I made it through middle school, first year of high school. I dropped out my first year, my freshman year in high school. About halfway through, my math teacher, I remember just telling me you might as well just leave. The grades that you have, you might as well just leave and go get a job. You're gonna end up in the streets, dead or in jail if you keep doing this. I was around the wrong crowd. I didn't have a father figure, didn't have a mentor. And so they removed me from school, and he said that to my mom. And I remember it hurt her, she was crying, it really hurt her, and I always told her, I'm like, Mom, I need to make money for us, I need to help us out. I'm not gonna make money learning about how to dissect a frog and learning about how many cities and countries there are. This is BS. So I just took any job I could. I went to a, Spartan Staffing was the name of the staffing agency, and that's where I got the job at Finitech, which is hand sorting through trash. Third shift, 7 p.m. to 3 a.m. It was the worst job on planet Earth. Literally, I came home tired. I was vampire shift, smelling like garbage. And 4 years later, I became a self-made millionaire. An average day looked like back then, prior to success, is literally, it was like a vampire. I would put black sheets over the windows. I worked 7 p.m. to 3 a.m. So literally I would sleep during the day when my family was up, the kids were in school. I would get up when they were going to sleep and go to work. From work, I would force myself to drink coffee and just walk to the library. It was almost like a forced FOMO, so fear of missing out, right? I felt every time I was asleep or relaxing or watching TV, I was not operating at 100%. And I know if I was gonna become the best version of myself, I'd have to give 100% of everything. Time being one of them, effort being another. There's a lot of times that I questioned my sanity, right? But I knew that I had certain goals and things that I wanted to reach, and if I stopped or I allowed myself to take a break or I fell victim to that, then that would be the new standard. So I just wanted to set a pace for myself to where I was gonna do everything, right? And I knew if it didn't work after some time, I gave it 110%, I'd be able to be cool, but I would not be able to be cool living that life and accepting that life for my family, knowing that I didn't go 110% in. I tried everything under the sun. I had already tried to learn SEO, I was trying to rank blog sites, I was trying to learn how to trade commodities, I tried cryptocurrency when it was coming out, I tried everything, and nothing really just felt like it was it. I never got momentum and gained traction with anything. And I found Amazon FBA because one of my early mentors was actually my wife's boss, right? And he owned a small business, and he was always reading the newspaper and reading online, and he was always talking about how he thought Amazon was gonna be the next biggest thing. And I remember finding a video on YouTube, and it was now one of my good friends, Brian Burt, was interviewing the Tinderland brothers. So it was Matt and Will. And he was interviewing them, and I think Will was doing $10 million a year. And they were talking about it, and they weren't selling anything or anything like that. And I was watching, and it just blew my mind, how they could run a business literally from anywhere in the world. And I became fascinated. And then I seen another video from Ryan Daniel Moran where he was talking about the 0 to 1 million in 1 year. It was 4 or 5 years ago. It was about an hour keynote. And like that was it. Like I was infatuated and I just studied literally every piece of free information that I could online, and I started that way. I used to always blame my current circumstance, right? I used to blame my parents. My parents didn't have a home, didn't have credit, didn't have money. Nobody in my family was successful or business owners. And I always blamed the geographic where I grew up at. I always blamed the demographic, the people that were around me. At the end, like the things, the turmoil, the adversity that I faced growing up that I thought was a hindrance, I thought was a ball and chain, was actually a superpower, right? So like on this wristband, I hold like the 3 pillars of success that I talk about all the time, that I teach a lot of our members, is patience, persistence, resilience. I didn't know any of that, but life was so tough and I had so much adversity that I had to deal with, and so much difficulty. When you get started in business, and especially in Amazon, like my first 3 products failed. I didn't know what I was doing. I wasn't following a formula. I didn't have a mentor or a program. But I knew each and every time it wasn't a failure, it was a lesson. And now like you hear Warren Buffett, you hear Mark Zuckerberg, you hear Jeff Bezos even state, a failure is not a failure unless it repeats itself, right? A failure is actually a lesson. So I just kept trying and trying and trying. I knew that something was gonna stick. And if it didn't, worst case scenarios, I'd be right where I was tomorrow, right? It's not a matter of how are things gonna change, how am I gonna change my current circumstance, but when are they gonna change? I was volunteering at the Salvation Army for canned goods. I was ringing bells for toys for my children for Christmas. I was volunteering, I was spray painting handicap railing and pressure washing sidewalks for vouchers just to pay my rent from Center Township. And it's like when I stopped deciding to feel sorry for myself and started to be humble for what I have, that's like when everything changed. Like I'm telling you, just by changing, instead of dwelling on what you don't have and what your current circumstances, be thankful for what you do have and what the future withholds. If you look at it like this, your worst day is somebody else in a third world country's best day, right? Like even though I was getting, you know, canned goods and bread, like, and I thought that was horrible and I was at the very low, that's someone's very high, right? My family, my friends, my colleagues, they all thought I was crazy. So of course, like it was out of love. I thought it was out of hatred, right? But it was out of lack of knowledge and literally literacy when it comes to online businesses. Hey, stop being lazy. Like you're trying to hit a couple keyboards and become rich. Like that's BS. All those people telling you this stuff are garbage. They're all scams. They're just trying to make money off you, right? And like I just had this gut feeling and I just stuck with it. And if it wasn't where I was at, I probably would have given up, especially after that 3rd product. And my wife was super supportive, but I kept failing and failing and failing. And she asked, like, when are you gonna give up? Like, when are you gonna throw the towel in? And I told her, like, I wouldn't be able to live with myself. Like, I wouldn't, if I didn't give 100% of my effort in and keep trying this, I wouldn't be doing 100% of my effort. I wouldn't be able to give you guys a better life. Like I told her, like every time I'm failing, I'm making different mistakes, right? And it's just a matter of time until this clicks in, right? So she was supportive and she stuck the course. Like my first 3 products failed. It was everything we had. We pawned everything. I remember I would walk to the Salvation Army on the weekends, on Saturdays and Sundays, on blue and red tags and get designer clothing 70% off. I would wash them, I would hang them, I would sell them on eBay just to get extra money. My bi-weekly paychecks at the recycling plant was like 350 bucks. My rent was $375. We lived in a 1-bedroom apartment. Me and my wife, who was pregnant at the time, slept on an air mattress in the living room. We had a shower curtain up. My older son slept in the 1 bedroom. Literally, I was walking to work, carpooling to work. And I remember like it was close to December and right around Christmas, and my birthday was in December and my wife's birthday was in October. We didn't even have a Christmas tree. We had nothing. I remember asking my boss, Bill, for a raise. I made $7.25 an hour. I asked for a $1 raise. It's $1,200 a year. And I remember him telling me that, Josh, you're here early every single day. You stay late. You take all the grave shifts. You're a hard worker, but unfortunately, like we can't give you a raise. Like I would love to give you more money, but you don't have the qualifications. You don't have the skill set. Therefore, we can't pay you any additional money. And like that really clicked in. Like I have to keep going because the only way I can make more money is to learn a skill set. And like now I can tell you, looking back, like even though like everybody thought I was super selfish, I wasn't able to be selfless without being selfish. And I had to almost risk my relationship with friends, family, everybody else. And now like me being selfish and doing that and going all in, even though it seemed ludicrous, changed my life and everybody's lives. Like I retired my mom. My mom has her own wing in my house. I just purchased a house, 5,200 square feet. My mom's retired. My wife will never work another day in her life. If I die tomorrow, both my kids each have 25 apartments. They're both millionaires in assets. So it's like you have to be selfish in order to be selfless. And the only person that's gonna go all in for your dreams is yourself. My first product was a dual port USB car charger. I got slaughtered on it. I beat the manufacturer to death on pricing. So I got like when they shipped it to when they shipped the product to Amazon, like I was getting an absorbent amount of returns and customer complaints. They weren't working. They were probably B grade. And then I was selling the product for under 10 bucks. So it wasn't Prime eligible. So it wasn't selling, it was an add-on product. And it was horrible. So I was like, all right, well, we got lifetime supply of chargers. We're giving chargers out for Christmas. The second product was like this sticky sheet. Like they were advertising it that you put it on a dash of a car and it can hold your phone or it can hold stuff like that. That was before all these fancy gadgets that would hold your phone, right? They were super cheap to ship. There was huge margin. I was like, all right, great. This wasn't an add-on product. Got to the marketplace and people were putting it on their cars and they would have their heat on and it would melt all over their car and be stuck. And I got destroyed again. So this was the second product I got destroyed and my account got shut down because of the complaint ratio, right? The amount of returns and everything. So I was like, oh my God, what do I do? And now I have a bunch of these things. Massive failure, right? So I still have both of these products to my day, right? They're just in my office. The third one, I'm like, okay, what's something that's indestructible, that doesn't have a mechanical use, right? There's no motherboard, there's no electronic component that can go wrong. It's not gonna blow up, it's not gonna melt on people's stuff, and something that people need every single day. When I was younger growing up, and even like my mom and stuff, everybody jokes because I love garlic. Like I put garlic on everything, minced garlic, garlic powder. So my third product was a garlic press. I didn't know how to check, I didn't know what BSR was, I didn't know how to check the amount of sellers, I didn't understand seller ranking, I didn't understand how to gauge demand, none of that. I'm like, okay, this is cheap, it's small, it's light, it's not gonna melt, it's not gonna blow up, right? Like you can't break, it's steel, you can't break this thing, and everybody eats garlic on everything, right? So I launched a garlic press, it was about another like $1,200 to $1,500 order, and I launched it and I can't get any sales. I got to like 2 a day and I can't get any sales. I'm like, what's going on? Everybody eats garlic. And then I knew about this PPC thing and I kind of had a background in SEO, so I was trying to do the PPC and I was getting slaughtered. Like my ACoS percentage was like 200–300%. I didn't know how to optimize and they weren't selling, right? So I ended up finally realizing, oh shit, there's tens of thousands of sellers that are selling this product. It's not a good product, right? So the first 3 products was what did I think that the marketplace wanted? What could I get super cheap and sell super high? What was lightweight and cheap to source, right? And cheap to fulfill. That was my product research criteria. When I got the software, you could type in products and categories and it would show you the amount of sellers, the revenue, it would show you how many reviews. And before I knew the metrics, I was like, okay, let me look up this product that my mentor sells that's in a similar niche to what my mentor makes and he sells. So I looked that up and I was noticing like these dudes were doing crazy numbers and there wasn't a lot of reviews. So I was like, okay, if there's not a lot of reviews, but they're making a lot of money and selling a lot of things, that means a lot of people want this stuff, but there must not be a lot of it, right? That was what I was thinking. I didn't know about demand and stuff. So I showed him, I'm like, I think this is it. I failed these 3 things like this, but I don't have any money. Like I need you to borrow me some money, like, or partner with me or do something. I think this is it. Like I have the software, it's showing me all the numbers. And he was like, he grew his business through SEO. So he's real analytical and into numbers and stuff. And when he looked at it, like he was able to make sense of it and he gave me a small loan. We launched that product and that product took off. I think like I sold like almost 75,000 units that first 12-month period. Like it was insane. Every product that I've ever launched has come from Jungle Scout because whether it's through doing the manual search through filters and criteria or it's having an idea and then utilizing the Chrome extension. So I've grossed over 10 million in the last 3.5–4 years. It's all responsible to Jungle Scout, right? So, and once that 4th product took off, I wanted to make sure it wasn't a fluke. Like after like about a month of it, I'm like, okay, this thing's not slowing down. And I've made more money in a month than I've made in 2 years if I would have stayed there. So I was so frugal, I knew that I could make something work with that money. So when I went back and I quit, I told my boss, his name was Bill, he's like 6'3", and I remember looking up to him and telling him, Bill, you not giving me that dollar raise was the best thing that ever happened to me because it made me go all in, right? And sacrifice everything. I was willing to lose my family, everything. And if it wouldn't have been for you, if you would have given me that dollar raise, I would have been comfortable and happy. That's $40 a week. And I would have been comfortable as to where I was. I told him, you doing that? Change. I made $32,000 in 5 weeks. That's my 2-year salary. Thank you for everything. Thank you for the opportunity. And I quit. Fast forward a year later, that business went out. They've got 32,000 square foot. Me and my partner, my first mentor, got the entire building, 32,000 square foot. There's 40 employees there, and we do all of our distribution direct to consumer and B2B out of that warehouse. If I hadn't met my mentor and I didn't have somebody that helped keep me, that taught me about mentality and helped me think positively and shared with me and taught me the lessons that they had in business, it probably would have taken me longer to get where I am. Anything that you want to do in life, there's only 2 ways that you can learn it. You can learn it through self-practice, which is trial and error, repetitively trying and trying and trying and making the mistakes and finding out what works and making those adjustments, right? Or you can learn from someone who has already made them, right? And that will point you in the direction of where you are. So he had multiple businesses that failed. He had multiple businesses that did well. So like he literally told me like, do this, don't do that. Like this worked, this didn't work. This is that. And like that fast tracked my success. So like if you have the opportunity to learn, and everybody has the opportunity again, because with all this free information and even paid information like courses and programs, they're a fraction of the cost of college. Like you are literally fast tracking your success by avoiding mistakes. Like if I could go back, I would have done everything in a third of the amount of time. And a majority of it is not just the mechanics and what I know, the mechanics, the tools, the resources, also the mentality and how to manipulate my success, right? You can reprogram your subconscious mind in the way you think, like just through music, just through breathing, just through thinking positivity, just by doing affirmations, stuff like that. You can go from feeling unmotivated, feeling doubtful, overwhelmed, scared, and nervous to feeling positive, courageous, ambitious, right? And just like reprogramming your subconscious and the way you think is a huge contributing factor to my success, at least. And it's free, right? It's just, you just have to train yourself. Is there still opportunity on Amazon? Is Amazon dead? Is Amazon saturated? Absolutely not. Like, saturation happens when supply outweighs demand. If you look at the historical charts, like you don't have to be a data scientist to go to Google and type in Amazon's growth year after year, you're gonna see it's been at a sustainable, not volatile, sustainable growth since 2000. The last 19 years it's sustainably grown. The amount of Amazon users have also, not sellers, actual consumers, right? Not producers, consumers have grown with that number as well, right? There's over 100 million Prime users, 2/3 of America, 70+% of American homes are shopping on Amazon. 51% globally is shopping on Amazon, which means 51% of all the sales across the entire globe, no matter what country you live in, is going through Amazon, right? So if you know 51% of the world, 70+% of the US is shopping on Amazon, and Amazon's sustainably growing year after year, there's not enough supply, right? And that's when saturation happens, is when supply outturns demand, right? And there's more supply, more sellers than there are buyers and consumers. But it's the complete vice versa, right? There's more demand, there's more consumers than there are producers and sellers, right? Amazon does not make money with their private label products. They have 12 brands, they make money, they make a crap load of money, but those products are insanely saturated and it's very competitive to scale, right? Very competitive to launch. Amazon makes money off of the users, off of us selling on their platform, utilizing PPC, just like Facebook. Facebook's a multi-billion-dollar company off of ad spend, right? They don't make money off of us just coming on there and adding friends and liking friends and looking at pictures of dogs. They make money off companies growing their brands and buying media and utilizing PPC, right? So it's more easier for Amazon to scale by us going on there and making a bunch of money. That's why in 2018's letter to shareholders, Jeff Bezos said that on average over 70% of new sellers with one SKU make over $70,000 per year because they're investing tens of millions of dollars into making the user face and the integrations, everything very easy to use, right? They're making the functionality of the platform easy. That's why so many people are making more money. And the more money we make as sellers on Amazon, the more money they make, right? I love what I do. I love building businesses. I love spending time with my family, right? So I think that's another thing that I attribute to my success is that, like, you have to fall in love with what it is that you do and fall in love with the hustle, because if you love what you're doing and you find a way to love what you're doing when you have nothing, when you have something, then you maintain that effort. The best way to get results and to progress in whatever you're trying to do is to identify things that you suck at and then work on that. So my whole thing is I used to suck at staying organized and sticking on one thing, focusing on one thing. I'd be all over the place. So now, before I go to sleep, I focus on my goals and things that I have to do the day. When I wake up the next day, I write them on my whiteboard. Like, I have notepads all around my house. I have a 6-foot whiteboard in my office, whiteboard in my room, just all over the place. So I'm constantly, whenever I have an idea or a thought, I write it down. The day before, I write down everything I need to do tomorrow, starting with the biggest task. So I always start with the hardest thing, the biggest task. First thing when I wake up, I knock that out when I have my peak creativity, I have my peak momentum, and then I coast throughout the day, right? Knocking out that big task is gonna help you get momentum, create momentum in the day. So if you're thinking about starting on Amazon because you wanna become financially free, location independent, you wanna work for yourself, you wanna generate income, that change is gonna happen by choice, not by chance. So once you identify that this is the vehicle for you to use, then you wanna take action on it as fast as humanly possible, because the longer you wait, you're gonna fall victim to analysis paralysis, right? You're gonna wait for the perfect time, the perfect amount of money, the perfect critic, the perfect media, and it's never gonna happen. Or if it does happen, that window of opportunity is gone, right? Going back, I had a poor mindset, right? And poor, the acronym POOR stands for passing over opportunity repeatedly. So stop having a poor mindset, take action. Like, you deserve a better life, your family deserves a better life, and I would say good luck.